Hi, we're here with Dan Wasson at the LucasArts Roadshow in Sydney. Dan, you're here in Australia to basically show off a few new things about Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We're going to be showing a lot of kind of new story elements. One of the big things is you get to play as Darth Vader in the very first level of the game, and that explains how you get the Secret Apprentice and take him under your wing and start training him in the dark side. We're also going to show Wii Dual Mode and some of the unique content that's only going to be found on the Wii, PS2, and PSP, which is the Jedi Temple level.
Okay, now you do play as Darth Vader. That's in the 360 and PS3 versions of the game, is that right?
Actually, it's in all 6 versions, yeah. The first level we call the prologue kind of gets you into the game, lets you feel powerful, and kind of tells a really cool part of the story.
Okay, now you're the producer for the Wii version and the PS2 versions of the game. I guess a lot of people have been fanging for a lightsaber game for the Wii ever since the Wii mode was unveiled. Can you tell us about how you will be able to control a lightsaber in the Wii version of the game?
Sure. It was important to us that we capitalize on that the Wiimote is your lightsaber. And at the same time, we wanted to make it accessible and something that you could do easily. It wasn't going to be a really precise or hardcore mechanic. So we kind of settled on 5 directions to recognize: left, right, up, down, and stab. And those are different animations. They have different payoffs. Some of them are more powerful attacks than others. And you chain those together to make your combos. And then, of course, you got a lot of force powers in the nunchucks. You got push and lightning and grip. And that, in its entirety, that forms all the different combos. You combine things back and forth to do these really huge moves.
So why no one-to-one move with the Wiimote?
Well, we spent a lot of time figuring out what we could do, and there's a lot of kind of problems with reality. You know, like if we're fighting each other and I swing my lightsaber down and then you have a block move and the game registers that you blocked, well, my arm is going to keep going. So now my arm's over here and you've got a block, but what's on screen doesn't match what we're doing. So we ran into all these problems with just, well, what do we do and how do we make it look good? And it turned out really ugly and it wasn't fun. There's also the kind of things that we do in focus testing where, you know, people get tired and they get sick of doing these things, and having to be really precise was also challenged with the sensor bar and that idea of you know, here's, okay, now what is it doing now, because I'm not pointing at the screen anymore. So there's a lot of tech problems, but ultimately, like I said, we wanted to make it fun, accessible, and something that you could master very easily. So we settled on a kind of a hybrid of recognizing gestures with something that's not too hard to master.
Let's stick with the Wii version of the game for a bit. Can you tell us in what ways it'll be different or unique to the PS3 and 360 versions?
Well, the Wii version, you know, is being built here in Australia by Chrome Studios, has a lot of unique content. So we were able to take ideas and weave them into the story. It's the same characters and locations, but we've added levels like the Jedi Temple, which we insert in different points in the story to tell you more information about who you are, and you go on these Jedi trials. And you fight lots of enemies that no one's ever seen before. So we've been able to create a lot of cool new content. And then, of course, dual mode, which allows you to go head-to-head with a friend, 2 players, kind of a simple fighting game mechanic, and just kick each other's ass in these fun arenas. And it's really, that's just a battle of skill. Who's the best at the moves and the locks and the counters and the mini games. And it's a lot of fun.
Can you tell us more about that dual mode then? How many playable characters will there be?
We have 27 different unlockable costumes. A lot of those are from a single-player game. It's the apprentice's different costumes. And then there's also characters from the movies. We have Obi-Wan and Anakin and Darth Maul. And then we have characters from the expanded universe, Aayla Secura and Asajj Ventress and Mara Jade. So there's something for the fans. And there's 9 locations. And again, some of those are from single-player. And then there's ones from the movies like Tatooine and Hoth, which aren't part of the single-player game, but we're able to build as, you know, fun additional arenas.
And each of these different characters will have different strengths, weaknesses, is that right?
Yeah, everyone's balanced a little bit differently. You've got your kind of core powers of lightning and lightsaber and push and choke, and then those vary, but everybody has the same set of powers. It's not about picking a guy and mastering, you know, he's got only that specific move. It's more about skill. It's about balancing these things out. So they are a little bit different, but it really comes down to how well you play offense and defense and how you can kind of deal with your opponent's attacks.
So why did you keep this just to the Wii version? Was there any thought of putting it to the other consoles at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, pretty much it always made sense for the Wii. It really capitalized on that social experience, the stuff that Nintendo's all about, that we want people to play together. Single-player story is about watching someone over their shoulder. Maybe you watch your friend play, but that's not as fun. So it kind of evolved into, this is perfect for the Wii. We built a lot of really specific mechanics that are unique, the way our locks work with gestures, and that's not found on the other platforms, so it didn't make sense to try to port it back over. And we didn't want to do a crappy job with that. So we kind of focused on, let's make it awesome for the Wii and make that as good as we could.
Okay, now this is the Apprentice is a brand new character that you're introducing to the Star Wars universe. Why did you decide to go down that route instead of taking on an already established character?
Well, I think when the story was first came together, my boss Hayden Blackman's the writer of the story. He worked with George Lucas, and they had this idea of The Force Unleashed. Well, where do we set it? And we said, let's put it between episodes 3 and 4. What's going on in the galaxy? You know, Darth Vader's just become Darth Vader. He's hunting down the Jedi. The Emperor and the Empire are out taking over worlds and building up their fleet. And it's this kind of period of time where no one really knows a lot about what's going on. So it just kind of naturally fell into, let's create new characters. But at the same time, we're going to tell you a lot about characters you already know. What is Vader doing? What's the Emperor doing? What's Princess Leia and Bail Organa doing? And then we've added all these new characters that we really hope people are going to be excited about to tell this epic story. It's the next chapter of the Star Wars saga.
Now, still a few months to go before full release. At what stage is the game at? What is the team focusing on right now?
Right now we're wrapping up. We're getting close to being done, so we're tuning. We're tweaking powers. We're making sure that it has a good flow, that it's fun, it's challenging. We're kind of making sure that there's no point in the game where you're going to get stuck and do the same thing 80 times and want to snap your controller in half. Like things like that to make sure that it's going to be as fun and playable as possible. But yeah, we're getting it wrapped up. It's coming out September 17th here in Australia.
Now, you are working with one of our local studios here, Chrome, for the Wii and PS2 versions. Can you tell us how that came about?
Well, when I was hired at LucasArts to start working on this game, we knew we wanted to get some guys that had experience in the platforms, and Chrome had a really strong team on the PS2 and the PSP. And then when the Wii came around, it was just natural extension of already having this tech and these tools to plug them in, and they've been really great partners. They're really creative. I was talking about the unique content. A lot of these things came from these guys. They're Star Wars fans. They love the challenge, and they push their team really hard to create tech. It's not just a port. It's not just a knockoff of the next gen version. So, you know, we've got these really powerful physics engine. We've got cool lighting and shadows and all this tech stuff that underlies to make it look as next gen as possible. So it's been really great working with them. They've done, I think, an outstanding job.
Okay, Dan, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome.